Welcome to the kitchen sink. We will chat, we will make you think. You will not want to go to the loo. You could miss a lot if you had that poo. Stay and watch and join in. Yeah! Hello!
Hello!
Shemai!
Shemai, sut wyt ti bach?
Da iawn, diolch, ysgweld yma. I'm not fluent.
It almost, you shouldn't learn small amounts of any language because someone says something, well, you say a small amount of a language to someone and then they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. That's what I live for. That's why, and then I go, oh no, sorry, I only know a little bit. Tip it back.
I've even when they've asked me if I say hello, if they say can you speak Welsh, and I go dim siarad Cymraeg, which is the most ridiculous thing to say in Welsh that you don't know how to speak Welsh, because then they just think, she's taking the piss, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I've been learning Welsh since I was about 12. Well, probably younger. Did you do the Eisteddfod stuff, Lucy? Did you start when I was in junior school? You had to apply for the Eisteddfod, and I really wanted to do it. And it consisted of learning a poem, saying "My guru glaw," like really like, and where your bunches were. Your sub bunches and whether you had pretty bunches and ribbons in your hair was very important. What was it like for you?
Well, as we've discussed, I have come out of that I went to a private school,
Yes.
and the Eisteddfod was not optional. It was enforced. So every school has houses.
Yeah.
And you would enter there'd be your 7 competitions, your 8, your 9, and there'd be different competitions for each year. And my house, Lewis, the red one, was always known to be the shittest house.
No.
And you start off as a young little 11-year-old in year 7, and you're like, I'm going to enter all the competitions, yay! And then you learn your house is the loser house, and then you're like year 9, you're like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah. So if it was Harry Potter, you'd be kind of, is Hufflepuff the loser house really? None of the houses are loser houses, are they? But
well, Baldwin and Trotter, they were always they always thought they were the lush ones.
Really?
And
your name was Trotter?
Well, yeah, they were all previous headmistresses.
Ms. Trotter. I can imagine her. She's
oh, you go.
Roald Dahl was inspired by her, was he, when he came up with Trunchbull?
Well, Roald Dahl lived at our school, so possibly.
Did he really? You know, I would believe anything.
Well, our school was in Llandaff.
Maybe she did.
So the music block was Roald Dahl's house, and the shed is still there.
Oh my god, that's really impressive.
And is it Boy or About a Boy? Just Boy. One of the books he wrote about was all about Llandaff Village and where the sweet shops were, and all the way up to the.
About the Boy was Nick Hornby.
Ah, that's right. I like that one.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find my bloody light thing. I know one of my light things is downstairs, but I've got my other one. Do you know what I've done this week? I've only gone and I'm getting organised, which means I can't find anything.
Ah,
that's why I've gone wrong.
I stopped truck driving around about last October, and I had a sabbatical, and I had 2 sat navs. So the one had started playing up, so that goes into in case of emergency. I've got that, and I had the other one, so I organised the new one somewhere. Couldn't fucking find it. Destroyed the house. I hadn't taken it out of the box. It was on my shelf, right at eye level. And destroyed the house. And then I haven't taken to it. You know, when you take a while to get used to something new. I don't like it. I don't like the format. I only swear at it. The voice commands don't work. So I thought, well, I'll go back to the old one. Couldn't find it anywhere. And now I finally found it. It was in my fucking car.
It's not always the way.
So organised. But the thing is, I put it, you get those nets on the back of your seat.
Yeah.
I put it there, but I put something in front of it because I didn't want thieves to find it or me. Thieves and me were kept away from it for months.
Well, I have a strategy, and I'll tell you this, and then maybe we can. And this is my fault. You know what I'm like. Just go straight off on a tangent. I'll tell you this, and then maybe we could tell the viewers what they're in store for today. So, yeah, my strategy for keeping thieves away from my car was to never clean it inside or out. So if I was hiding something, I would be hiding it under the rubbish. My car's very clean and tidy now.
If Mark Cameron is watching this, I was the same with my truck. Mark tells this amazing story of how 5 trucks were on tour. They were all lined up in a row and he was in the middle, and they got broken into and turned over, and nobody did anything to his. We think they sort of went, they broke in there, turned it over, broke in there, turned in there, and when they got to the middle one, they thought, oh, it's already been done. And I took that a little bit too seriously.
Rubbish everywhere.
My truck is not rubbish, it's stuff. I'm not dirty, I'm just not tidy. And I think there's a difference.
But you've broken lots of people's hearts by saying you're not dirty. There's lots of guys out there like, oh, I bet that Lucy's filth. Pure
well,
filth.
When you get told something enough by your ex-boyfriend, you take it beyond, do you?
Oh, okay. That's something for the counsellor for next time. Yeah, so what are we doing tonight, Lucy? What's happening tonight? What's in store? Oh,
Can I talk about my hair? Can I talk about my hair?
Yeah, so we've got talk about Lucy's hair on the agenda, and yeah, that's probably, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, and we've got a fantastic guest, Steffan Evans. Woo!
Oh my god, I'm a little bit in love with him already because Steph actually said he'd come in and do a sound check before the show to make sure that his connection was all right, and I was like,
he's a pro, isn't he? What a pro!
Yes, you are.
Yes. So he'll be coming in around 7:30, assuming that his sound check went okay.
Perfect. He asked about his lighting and everything like that. We bonded over the fact that when he uses this program for his Tales from Wales podcast with former kitchen sink guest Drew Taylor, he also sometimes gets time delay or poor connection. So we sort of talked about that for a bit, but it was just like,
you're not on your own. No, he's lush. Steph is so lush.
And you tell your friends.
Yeah. He's a star in the making, is Steph. He's so fab, which you'll all get to see in a bit. And then we're reviewing. What are we reviewing this week?
We're reviewing Comedy Game Night.
Yes.
And I have stats.
Oh, shit.
I have stats and history and opinions. I made notes.
Well done. I've made notes.
I don't want you to guess my opinion, though.
Okay, so that's what we have in store for you tonight. Yes, Hugh. Hugh was saying, loving your connection, Lucy, and you're not wrong there, Hugh. I didn't want to draw attention to it in case it brought the gremlins out, but Lucy, for those people listening on the podcast, she is as clear as crystal. I can hear her. There's only been one little delay. It was barely anything. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I've also done massive research into the house on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Is it on a burial ground? Is that what it is?
I mean, the fact that every window, I mean, as you can see from the background of the kitchen, and like on every window is a Faraday cage window, because they did a lot of work in the early 1900s to make sure that future internet won't get in.
Just pretend for a moment. I don't know what a Faraday window is.
Oh, a Faraday cage is like a dog kennel, like the metal cage.
Yeah.
because of all the metal, it actually it turns into like a massive resistance bubble, so you can't go
Right.
through it. So the scientist
Oh,
Faraday worked out that it sort of kept radio waves, or in or out. Yeah.
well, I never. A Faraday cage window. If you've got bad internet connection, you're probably not watching this. But if you're managing to watch this through your terrible internet connection, smash all your windows now because that's what you need to do to get that
Well,
internet
funnily
in.
enough, right tonight for the first night,
Hmm.
I've because I'm upstairs doing this. I went downstairs during that test card bit, and I've put YouTube on the big TV downstairs. So
Right.
hey to all the orchards downstairs watching. I'm on
Oh.
the ceiling if you're having a good time.
And if they don't bang on the ceiling, they have turned over.
She
Have you got the
probably.
remote with you?
I know. Good luck turning over, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. Should do it.
But
It
I
should be
went
like
on.
Matt and Christine look a bit different tonight. Oh yes, now Curly, well done. Right, so what's happened there now, Lucy? What have we done
I
there?
have finally run out because I went through a bulk buy phase in my life. And
Yes,
when I've been on the road, you sort of end up with a kit bag where you just keep buying brand new bottles of shampoo and conditioner. And it's taken me nearly a year to use all of their hair. So I'm not going to throw them out because
no.
I'm going to use them. So I'm finally at the end of all of their hair products that I now know aren't good for your hair.
Oh
So I
my God, you knew it
so
wasn't good a year ago, and you still use them to save how much? 20 quid. Knob. Oh, right. Okay.
So
So what?
now I'm sulfate free, paraben free, all
Oh,
the weird name things that you go on about.
yes. Oh, lovely.
I
So
bought
what
a
products
hydration
have we got?
mask, and the thing is, it just says use the hydration mask. It doesn't actually say whether or not to use shampoo, then conditioner, then the mask, or the mask,
Right.
then shampoo and conditioner. Not a clue. So I went with a gamble, did it first, probably then washed all the goodness out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works.
You could have messaged me. I would have told you.
Well, I was in
Wash
the
your hair
bath. I don't use the phone in the bath.
first. You wash your hair first. That gets rid of all the rubbish, all your top surface. Mine's desperate for a wash, but this morning I'm very sorry, I was redoing that stuff. You know, what's that stuff that you put around your shower unit to keep the water in?
Oh, the sealant.
Sealant. I was resealing my shower unit this morning, and you're not allowed to
Hey,
use it for 6
you!
hours. I know.
Hang on.
Hello.
You're doing DIY and I'm doing my hair. It's fucking
I
free
know.
ketchup.
Body swap. We're gonna make a film out of it. It's gonna be the kitchen sink, the film. Yeah, I was just thinking when I saw your curly hair, I thought, oh, how we've changed. We got you in makeup, we got you curly hair. I'm doing DIY. Flipping heck.
Uh,
Oh,
oh.
it looks
Right,
very
so
nice, Lucy.
listeners on the podcast, that's dual grown.
Oh,
It's because we've had a comment that says, "Hey friends, do you want to hear my best joke?" Tell you what, why don't you
is
type it
it
in the
you?
comments and we'll decide if it's good enough to be broadcasted. If it's got anything to do with willies, we're probably not going to read it out. Hey
Yeah,
guys,
don't
right,
talk
big
too
fan.
soon, Lucy. Don't talk too soon.
Oh yeah, no, no,
Hey.
that's a good joke. Sarah, do you want to take it?
No.
Okay, it's more my wheelhouse, isn't it?
It is for your
So
wheelhouse.
we got a joke. No, it's a PG joke. So the joke was, I went to the zoo the other day, but because of COVID, there was only one animal. It was a Shih Tzu. Now, I love what you've done with that, but what you meant to do is, I went to the zoo the other day, and in every enclosure, it was just small dogs. Turns out it was a Shih Tzu. So that's the
Hey.
actual joke.
Men love it when you explain, they make their jokes better back to them. They absolutely love it.
Oh my
That's their
God,
favourite thing.
I think I just woman-splained.
You did! Yay! High five!
I can feel my niece taking over the man
Yeah.
spreading.
Have you noticed Benjamin's surname? I'm very
No.
sorry for your condition, Benjamin. I hope you get better soon. I hope there's some amendments you can make. For anybody watching this through Facebook, YouTube, is it your real name?
Sarah, stop offending the viewers. We need the numbers.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you for the joke, Ben.
I am in quite a playful mood tonight. I've had a really good day at work, but no, she doesn't mean it. She's just being playful. And thank you very much for getting involved in the chat, Ben. If you don't mind me shortening your name. So today, I got in a truck that wasn't the usual truck I use, and there's no cigarette lighter, so I couldn't charge my sat nav or my phone. And I like to listen to my Chris Miles when I get in the truck. It makes me a nicer person. But because of that, I had to listen to Radio 4 because it's the only radio station that I'll listen to other than Chris Miles.
Right.
And there was on The World at One, there was a section about wild swimming. And I thought about you the whole time. And it was a guy up in Scotland, and he was getting in the water at the time. And he was saying about how people are like, oh yeah, I like swimming in the sea. And it's like, they say that in the summer, but come back unless you're doing it in January and February. And then he said, if you're not cracking the ice on the edge of the river to get in, I turned the heater up and put my coat on, because even listening to it and thinking of you getting into the sea, I was
freezing. Oh yeah, it's I went swimming last Saturday, actually, November 2nd. It was cold. It was really cold, but it was brilliant as well. It was so good. Yeah.
I mean, fair play to you, love. I admire you as much as I'm concerned about your mental health.
It's better for your mental health. It's really, really good.
I mean, Ellis James likes to have a cold shower every day because he read about how some gymnast in the 50s did it, and it makes you mentally stronger. I've been to swimming pools, like your council town swimming pools. I've paid my money, I've walked in, I've got changed, I've walked to the pool, I've dipped my toe, I've turned around, I've gone straight back out, got changed, and gone home.
Really? Well, that's where you've gone wrong then, isn't it? Because apparently it takes 3 times to like get yourself in, you feel freezing, but it only takes about 3 times for your body to acclimatize, and then after that, that's it then for about a year and a half. You don't have to go for another year and a half or so, and you can still just get in. But yeah, it's just it takes time. I've got to say, it is cold and the sea is getting colder, but you just take your time to get in, and it is nobbling. And but coming out and then getting dressed. I mean, to be honest, on Saturday when I came out, I was numb. My skin, everything was numb. But then you just feel so amazing afterwards. I can't explain it. You're like, oh my God, I went swimming in the sea. It sounds crazy now I think about it, but
when
it's
I come to visit you, I will roll up my jeans, dash trousers, whatever, and I will get to at least above knee, and I will cheer you on. But I don't. I don't know. I mean, I've got very poor blood pressure, and I feel the cold all the time. Like, I will have an electric blanket on in the summertime because I get into bed, I'll feel really cold. I think it's part of my circulation and all that stuff. But the idea of going into cold water, because I mean, I remember so many times I've been traveling in Europe and everyone's got in the sea, and I've gone no.
Yeah.
I went traveling to the very, very south point of Spain with my friend, and she had psoriasis, and seawater is meant to be like an elixir, like magic voodoo. So we'd constantly be driving along, and I'd see the sea, and I'd just pull over. I'm like, get in the sea, and I'd say,
Never seen.
And if she was tired, she's like, I don't want to. And I'm like, the doctor said I wouldn't get it myself. I just make her.
Oh, getting the ocean altered. Thank you, Colin. Colin Mayhew. It
Yeah.
is so invigorating. You just got to take your time and also overcome that mental toughness, I would say. It's a mental toughness thing. Just overcome it and get in the sea. Don't get in the bin, get in the sea.
I just want to have a quick interrupt to say thank you everyone for tuning. I know that we usually do this bit at the beginning, but thank you very much. This is the Kitchen Sink. I am Lucy Orchard. This is Sarah Bridgman, and we are obviously doing this for your entertainment every single week. We try and do our best. So if you can, go on jokepit.com and on the A to Z, type in the kitchen sink, and you will find a little donate button. The minimum donation is £3. If you can maybe just throw us £3, it's the same price as a cuppa. Especially if you go to like a services, like the motorway services, you're paying at least £3, even for a cup of tea. That doesn't even buy you a coffee. And then just support the tech fees.
Yeah.
But if you can't, what you have been doing is getting involved. So I want to say a big thank you to Hugh, Ray, and Benjamin for getting involved, and Colin on the chat, because everybody that comments and watches makes us feel like this really is what we want to make a brilliant show. And one day we're going to get a message saying, hello, I'm from Texas, or I'm from Nigeria. I'm a podcast listener. I like to sink and drive.
Yes. Oh, God. That wasn't agreed in the production meeting.
Why will that pun not pick up? if a pun could be funny on who loves it the most, I suppose it's got to be funny based on humour, isn't it?
Yes. It's the plus point of humour, of comedy. I think that is an essential element of. Oh God, you know, I've got to say, I've had such a busy week, such a busy day. Anyway, sorry, you're so lively. No. I'm going to try and liven myself up.
Well, I just want to apologise everybody for the internet situation that I had last week. It really it sort of wore my soul down. So as you can see, we're having a guided tour of Lucy's house each week. We're doing it from a different. We're going to be doing it from a different room. I'm thinking the mobile dongle literally taped to the window, and in this position, I think it's a winner. And also, because we're getting ready to move out of the house, we've started taking things apart, and I found out that the plug socket the modem's in, I know this is not that interesting to people, but it's actually on an extension phone socket. It's not the main phone socket. So I'm going to put, over the next couple of days, I'm going to put the modem next to the main. I've got things in plan. I mean, if you could get a strong internet, I want my hope, prayers, and dreams. I should have the clearest line.
Yay! Well, it's working so far. Fingers crossed. It'll be when Steph comes in. That's when we'll know for sure. Yes. Yeah, for sure. So, is it too early to start mentioning Christmas?
Not with me.
So you were an early Christmas celebrator?
Yes, because I'm not overly birthday-ish. I'm a big Christmas person.
When is your birthday?
May 12th.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Okay. May the 12th. So you are a big Christmas person.
It was 2 days before our first ever kitchen sink.
Oh, I can't remember. I'm rubbish at remembering people's birthdays. It's bad, isn't it?
The only reason I know is because every time I bring up my Pokemon Go, it says I started it on May the 14th.
Yes. Oh, Pokemon Go. Are you still doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're on specialist groups now. I've taken it off my phone. I can't be asked. You're on specialist groups, forums, discussing all about. I noticed on Facebook, Lucy Orchard going, when the Grimwald busy bee, blah blah blah. Just all these different Pokemon names.
I got invited to a Pokemon-based open mic night.
Jesus effing Christ.
And
Sorry for the surprise, but
whilst I was there in the room, I realised I thought it would be an open mic for people that like Pokemon. No. It was an open mic for Pokemon material. So I was like, well, I'll quickly write some things down. I did 7 minutes.
That is niche. That's very niche.
That's
That
an,
is
I
niche.
mean, and you know what? Only about of that 7 minutes, I reckon I got 2 minutes of good jokes out of it, which is not bad going for an open mic night. I just wrote it 10 minutes before going on, and I
Yeah.
thought the jokes worked, but
Yeah.
who the hell am I going to tell these to again?
Well, gigs like that, it's just an exercise in joke writing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
just an exercise.
So
Yeah.
even though I've started my new job, truck driving,
Yeah.
because they still need me at the convenience shop for the American viewers, at the local spa,
7-Eleven. The
7-Eleven, I'm still doing Sundays. And this Sunday, I wore a Christmas jumper. I got tinsel out the back room, put it round the till, and I played Christmas songs all day.
Oh,
And,
no.
and people
Too
came in
far.
and they looked at me like, what? And I was like, 2020, no rules. And they all went, fair play.
Okay, were they backing away slowly at the
I
time?
was like,
Okay.
come in next week. It might be Easter, might be Halloween.
I wouldn't mind it being Halloween more for longer than it is, because Halloween we only really officially get the day, isn't it? Although if we're America, we'd can put the decorations up a bit earlier. But yeah, I almost wore a Christmas jumper for us tonight because this, to be honest, I've been wearing this. This is bright enough.
As well. And I
But
thought
think
you
it's
were
too
going to go, Lucy, it's too early.
It is too early. I think the earliest we can really acknowledge Christmas really is got to be the 1st of December, maybe the very end of November. But any sooner than that, it's too long a run up to it. You get bored by the 25th and you want to, chuck everything out by the 27th. I want to enjoy the whole of Christmas week.
When I was doing my night work, I'd come into the house and we didn't have a thermostat. So you'd have to come in. I'd leave the heating on all day so it was warm, or you'd come in and it was fucking freezing.
Yeah.
And a timer, on the thingy. So I'd come in and the house would be cold. And I made a decision, right, it's November. I'm going to leave the heat on all day and then off when I get in. And I'm going to put my tree up. So I'd come in, it'd be rainy, dark and cold outside. I'm wrestling with all my high-vis bloody clothing. And I'd press a button and there'd be twinkly fairy lights and a Christmas tree. And my soul was just like, oh, okay.
We'll be all right. Maybe what we need is a holiday between November 5th and maybe December 20th or December 15th. Just a 1-month holiday to see us in between November 5th and Christmas. That's what we need. We could just put some sparkly ducks up and not call it Christmas.
Well, I've kind of booked a mini holiday.
Oh, where to?
Because I can. Where I'm working, it's sort of quarry based and building sites based, and they shut down for Christmas. So I'm going to go and drive a truck with my mate around Europe during that because it's work. It's work.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not a holiday.
But it is. Oh, yes, I am. Hugh is saying that you channeling your inner leopard with that top, Sarah. Yes, that's because you can tell some of it is. I'll turn your comment off so people can see my top. Here I am, showing off my top again.
Hello, boys.
Not even that inner in terms of leopard. I love a bit of leopard print, Hugh. As you know, when I'm on Big Wheel Small Talk, I do that on my sofa and I got a leopard print through. But I got to say, Lucy's information is far more interesting than mine. So yeah, you're going to drive around Europe in a truck for work/pleasure.
Yeah, so just because when you double drive, you can do longer journeys, and they'll be able to give us harder general haulage assignments. But it'll be me and my mate in a cab for about, even if it's just 5 days in between the two, Christmas and New Year's. But it'll be out of the house, out of the country, seeing different things like foreign motorway services. I haven't seen them in months.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Oh, have fun. That sounds really good. Right.
Yes,
Well, we have a guest in our dining room, do we not? We
yes, we
do.
do.
Should we welcome him through to the Scabby kitchen? That's what we do every week.
Leave the
Bring
mahogany
him
room of happiness. Get in the kitchen.
Get in the kitchen. All good parties end up in the kitchen, don't they? So,
Yeah.
everybody, welcome to the screen the fantastic, the lovely Steffan
Professional.
Abbott, the professional. We
Professional
don't need to take
Steffan
for us.
Evans.
Steffan Evans!
Oh, hello. All right. Hello, internet. Hello, everyone. Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello, ladies. How's it going? All right.
Hello, Steph. Yeah, it's so lovely to see your face. I haven't seen you for about 7 months now.
I'll be honest, you're not missing much. I don't change. Still a multiple of a 4-letter word and thereof, you know. Yeah, how are you two doing? I haven't seen your legs. Bridgman, I haven't seen your legs since Swansea. And Lucy, I've never seen your legs. So that's what the internet has brought us, really, isn't it? No legged conversations.
I'm just DMing you a picture.
All right.
I've
All right.
never
No problem
seen
at all.
Lucy's legs either. Me and Lucy have never met in real life. We've only met online. And Ray says, Croeso, Steffan, Roy Dwi.
Oh, there we go.
Ray Dwi.
Ray Dwi, yeah,
Ray Dwi. Oh.
Yeah. I am Ray. We know he's Ray. Ray has quite the big personality. It's hard to forget Ray Turner, definitely, especially when he used to comment on every single post on Facebook ever.
Yes, I think
That's why
he
I used
still
to call
does.
him. But then he does it in such a nice way, in such a positive way. He never calls anyone a shit or anything like that. He just goes, "Oh, go on, good on you." You know, yeah.
Interesting to see if one day Ray just wakes up and anything that annoys him, he's just like, arse.
Yeah.
He just goes berserk. Just goes, yeah. I don't think that he's such a chilled individual. I don't think that will happen. If anything, he'll just give himself a Chinese burn or something like that. Just turning in on himself because he's so nice.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you very much, Ray. Thank you very much for your patronage.
Yeah. He's here every week, isn't he? You think he'd have something better to do, wouldn't you?
No.
He's self-isolating. Him and Dougie Dougie, his dog, are self-isolating. So, because he's a vulnerable person with the COVID. Here we are. We've managed 32 minutes.
He's not missing much.
Can I
It's all right. He's not missing much, is he?
He's not missing anything.
So, Steph, you do a podcast, Tales with Wales, with former kitchen sink guest Drew Taylor. And so I'm hands up. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I have listened to it. So, do you actually do it live like this as a live stream and have audience interaction?
Well, before this whole virusy thing, we'll just call him Dave. Before Dave, we used to have person to person sort of podcasts, and it was really, really fun. Whereas, since Dave's come along, we really got to sort of change what we're doing. And thanks to so Drew is the brains of the outfit, and I am the something of the outfit, and along with the genius, which is Kane at Joke Pit, they just brought this up, and it's been great. We've had a little break, and we're going to try and get back on it soon. But the biggest problem got is my internet is rubbish.
Oh, sing it, sister. Sing it.
What's funny is what we'll do is before, obviously, before the show, we try to have a little chat and get to know the guests and stuff like that, because I don't know most of the time who they are, and do the research. And what's funny is they say, I say, just let you know, Steffan's signal is bad, and they hear this accent and they go, oh, is that because you're in West Wales? You by a big tree or something? It's like, no, I'm in Cardiff. I'm in the capital city of internet.
So have you got
level of xenophobia?
We have discovered Faraday cage windows.
Yeah.
You have a Faraday cage window.
No, I don't. I haven't got the abundance of lead. My window is just double glazing smeared in seagull waste. So mine is at an angle. It's quite
Got the
creative. I don't know
windows
how
or
they
the
do it.
seagulls?
I mean, I think that if you've seen it, I would say that both of them should be at an angle for it to be such a good purchase on the glass. I mean, like it's a work of art. Or you know, if crap puns are going about, it's a work of ass.
Your
He
Hey,
craft
hasn't
pan
gigged in
loves
months
things
today.
here. Lucy loves the craft pan, as do
Yeah,
I.
it was. But I could talk about fecal matter for 24 hours. It's the childish child in me. I'm just a kid that grew up and got hairier and fatter. That's all I am. So, you know, I talk about things like that all day. Not a problem. I got stories that could bend your bones.
Really?
right, well, we don't do self-deprecating on this show, so you know, I think
I
you
shouldn't
are
have invited me on then.
We don't do self-defecating either.
defecating, yes, deprecating, no.
Yeah. I was painting a house today in a pair of trousers that I crapped myself on a staircase in Bangkok 9 years ago.
Wow.
You were painting in trousers that you were in Bangkok.
Yeah. I was wearing these trousers in Bangkok 9
Yeah.
years ago, and I may have, I don't know, had some water or ice cubes or really weird looking pepper sauce that I shouldn't have. And we didn't get on, me and good old Diane Rhea. And before I knew it, I trusted one a bit too much. And all I will say is thank the Lord for cuffed bottom trousers.
Oh,
Otherwise, that'd have been, yeah.
oh, because you don't like that kind of stuff running down the street, is it?
It was like a cup of soup with a sultana in it. It was horrible.
You've just reminded me that I used to date a gentleman from Barry Island. I won't use his name. I'm over our house. I used to live in Caerphilly, and my parents cooked a meal, and it was the first time I'd eaten spinach. Didn't know anything of it. He went out with the boys later, and in the queue for Club Evo Bar, shit himself.
Oh,
That'd be quite funny because imagine if said accident had made a noise like, oh, they would have left him in. They would have left him in for free. This guy's ass speaks Welsh.
This is true because I lived in Caerphilly until 2004. Always went drinking in Cardiff because that's where my school was. So Cardiff was our playground, but it was Orange Carrot, Philharmonic, Prince of Wales, maybe the Angels.
Blah, blah.
We had our set places, but we never ever went to Club Evo Bach. And I was always terrified because I stopped learning Welsh when I was 9. And I was terrified of the myth that you stand in the queue and you'd have to prove that you could speak Welsh. Was that true?
Well, I've been in Cardiff since about 2002. And in that time, it's been a flat no. What I think years ago, you're talking possibly mid to late 90s, when you know it was fine to go out and say those sort of things. They did it, but as all my memories of the Welsh Club or Club Evo Bach is the place stinks like piss. You can get pop top Grolsch bottles, and you fall down the stairs every time you go there.
Yeah,
because by that point, it was metros or nothing for me. It was metros or nothing.
Yeah.
It was just get to metros. You'd there was a very, very thin shelf of brick along the side where you could sit, and just across the bar, and you'd think, oh, it's condensation that's dripping on me. No, it's the ladies' loo. And big jeans.
Yeah, that's it. The whole building was like that.
Yeah, the big jeans. But do you remember big baggy long jeans with the rips that pick up the puddles? They were in fashion. So you'd all stand outside the ladies, roll your jeans up to be able to walk into the ladies to have a piss, wade through the puddles. Oh, good
happy days.
Those are the days.
God, I was in my mid-30s the first time I went to Club Evo Bach because, of course, being from Swansea, our Club Evo Bach was Cinderella's. So down the end of the pier. But the first time I went, there was a band on. My friend's boyfriend was playing in a band at the time. And when I go and watch bands, we go and watch bands in Swansea, people dance and they danced about and they were quite lively. But this band, people, and they were a great band and everything. They were very good music, but people were just standing, nodding along to the music. I'm like,
Cool.
this is weird. I didn't know if it was a Cardiff thing or if it was just this particular band. It was so odd.
I think that might be. I think it might be a Cardiff thing. I'm
Yeah.
not sure whether or not. I mean, I think, in my opinion, is if the further west you go from Cardiff, the more fun-loving and piss-headish people can be. So, so if I'm from West Wales, where you drink there when you're 8 years old because there's nothing else to do, right? So if you like, I remember going to Swansea when I was like 10. I've never seen anything like it. It was huge. I'd never seen two escalators right by each other before. And I remember, like, it was such a huge place. So I remember going to Swansea, then I moved to Cardiff. Then, and you think, oh, there's a huge jump like that. But I think people in Cardiff, they take themselves a little bit more seriously. Whereas the further west you go, the more shit-faced we tend to get.
That's why I liked metros, because you'd mosh, you would actually dance. Everywhere you kind of went else, it was sort of like, I need to look really good and, primp and look at where the girls and the boys kind of thing. Whereas metros, heavy Metallica came on, just dust your elbows on, just dive in.
Yeah. Headbutt your best mate. That's how you show love in metros, isn't it?
I don't even know.
I remember my mate. Right, so Metros is not far from David Morgan's, and I remember my friend danced. It was, I think, Metallica or Nirvana came on, and he went, "Yeah!" and he punched a girl in the face, and it was Metallica, and she looked at him like, "What are you doing?" And he went, "It's Metallica, love," and just carried on dancing.
That's still a bit strong.
That excuse is going to work once and once only, I think.
Yeah.
But fun fact, Metros is on Baker's Row in Cardiff, and Baker's Row, the Metros was called Baker's Row, and when my mother was a young lady, she went there because it was a coffee bar for mods. So through the evolution of time, it went from the mod hangout where the beautiful people stood in nice clothes to a shithole where you got punched to Metallica.
It's awful.
To Metallica.
I've never seen. Was it the smell of BO and wet, stinking, piss-soaked carpets have never been married together so well, especially when back then you had I'm showing my pub experience. You needed to have an entertainment license to open after 2:00 back in those days, and you had to supply food if you wanted to have an entertainment license. But what they used to do in metros is to give you a sweaty slice of toast as you came in, didn't they? So the place used to smell like piss and BO, and someone gives you a slice of toast just so you can drink until 2 a.m.
Oh my God. Is that
why it was called Sweatro?
Sweatro.
That's probably
what's happening with some pubs now with COVID. They're like, we've got to provide a meal. Here's a pie. Here's a piece of toast and a beer. We provide meals.
I was reading the different tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and with tier 3, pubs had to shut unless they served substantial meals.
Oh,
the fuck's
2
a substantial meal? Like a beige buffet? Like what? You had to have like chips like that? Is it
no
you
tapas.
had to at least get a restaurant rating? No tapas. No.
Fuck that.
No chance of a finger buffet. No.
No. If it's got Yorkshire pudding in it, it's not substantial. Ew, more than.
I learned a new thing yesterday. You were thinking about finger buffet then, right? I was researching poetry slams, and if there's a poetry slam that uses sign language, it's called a finger fumbling.
No.
Nice.
It is, yeah. I mean, really cool to watch, but at the same time, then the little child in me just went, just like back in school when the teacher says penis, you have to get your penis into the condom. And then, but nothing's changed. It's got hairier and fatter.
Well, I remember in math, first year of maths of comprehensive school, I had a teacher that I was really scared of. I was always very scared when I was 11. And this teacher was talking about sets, as in SETS, and I just sat there like that the whole time because I thought he was talking about sex, as in SEX. I'm like,
did he know?
no. Only I thought it. I think everyone else is like, yeah, sex, that makes sense. I'm like, why are we talking about sex in maths? I don't understand. So like the whole lesson before he wrote it on the board, and I'm like, oh, sex. My thought was always like, Sarah just looks like she needs to pay more attention. I'm like, I'm paying attention. I don't understand how it can look like.
Yeah, that must have been like the weirdest design technology module ever.
Yeah.
Why is the tech teacher talking about shagging?
Yeah. I don't know. I think his name was Mr. Crab as well.
Shut up. Talk about shagging, his name's Crab.
Yeah.
That'd be quite funny. So every time he left the room, he walked out sideways.
Yeah.
Giving it all that.
Yeah. Can't get over bucket.
We've got a fan called Hugh James. Always love that name. And he does amazing research on our guests, which often shows up our research. And his question to you is, hi, Steffan. I know you love your food, and because I clicked on it, it was show. I know you love your food, but what was the food like when you were locked up in Vietnam?
All right. Somebody's done a deep dive. That's a new word I've heard in the last few months. Yeah, I didn't have any food in Vietnam because we were too busy being detained at the airport under armed guard. It was a very, very... I did nothing wrong. Ironically, what would have happened, we were traveling and we'd spunked all our cash on booze in Thailand. And by the time we got to Vietnam, we had visas, but we didn't have the 30 quid between two of us to pay for the stamp on the passport. And then, so they were like, right, you can either go to local police station and be held in the cells there, or you can sleep in the security room here tonight, and then we speak to the British Embassy and possibly fly you back to Bangkok in the morning. Now, I was shitting myself because I've seen all those banged up abroad shit things. And what happened in the end, they went through our bags. They found in my bag a knife and a pair of scissors. And the man asked me, do you have nai? And I didn't know they don't use these out in Vietnam. Most ironic thing ever. The place is called Vietnam, and I didn't know what he's talking about. I wasn't sure if he was saying, is this guy sort of trying to play me or something like that? I said, no, have it, keep it, no problem, have it, it's lovely. I got it from Millets, $3.99, opened a tin and opened a bag of flour once, so take it. And then what we did was we slept in the security room overnight. I went to the toilet to have a St. Clean #1, and I saw a rat bigger than my childhood Jack Russell. A friend of mine needed to pass a bowel movement, and he was too scared to go in there because the rat was probably bigger than his shit. And then the next day, then they put us on the plane, and we went back to Thailand, slept on the floor there for 2 days, and then flew to India, and then flew back to London, and then worked in a pub for a week in an extremely rough area of London where people get a bit prickly with cutlery. And I saved myself there. And the random thing is they locked up 2 lovely, really nice, hard-drinking West Walian Welshmen, and I saw droves of American tourists flying through there. And you think, hold on, their country bombed you, and you wouldn't let us in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Would you ever go back to try and actually see the country?
Are you allowed?
I mean, well, exactly. I'm just going to go with a diplomatic sort of statement to just say, fuck Vietnam. And to be totally honest with you, I think if they would have let us in, I would have been dead possibly 2 or 3 weeks after, because we were going to go from Vietnam to Laos. And in Laos, you can do this thing called river tubing. Right, and so it's a tractor in the tube, and you go down this river, and they've got like bars and stuff at the sides of the rivers and stuff, and then they like throw you out a bottle, they pull you in, and they get you pissed. Loads of people die there. I can't swim, so I know I would have done it and died. So thank you very much to the Vietnamese authorities for, 1, not beating me up, and 2, giving me some closure.
Yeah. At least,
Yeah.
silver lining, because you're here to tell the tale
Oh yeah.
rather than being nearly dead in some river in Vietnam.
I could have been a Vietnamese drug kingpin with this level of English.
Well, yeah.
I know.
You could be living a life of
But
luxury, Breaking Bad style right now.
yeah, exactly. I'd be like Jesse Pink Bum or something like that. I don't know. But,
Pink eye.
but that's not the only. Like I remember, I had another sort of weird moment with a flight as well. I was out. I used to work for Nando's. Maybe they're overpriced
Did you?
peri. Yeah.
I love
I worked there for them for 4 or 5 years. I was like deputy manager in loads of different sites and stuff like that. And they sacked me for theft. Woo!
What?
The only thing I stole was the only thing I stole was hearts. And
And copious amounts of chicken.
But exactly. But I got some great trips out of them. I had a hell of a laugh. They took me to not just me. There was loads of us. They went to Cape Town for like a week, and we were smashed all day, every day. Have you ever seen? You've never seen a red wine zombie in your life. It's the most scary thing at 10 a.m. in the morning when someone's been drinking red wine and they walk past you, like shifting like someone walking the dead with a black tongue. You think, geez, that could have been me. That will be me.
Yeah.
But then I remember I flew back early because I'd won an extra 4 days on this like work holiday. And the people, there was 2 girls that I was with that had the same time as me. And I'm not friends with them on Facebook. I can say I didn't want to spend any time with them. They were dreadful people, and I would see it as a penance to even spend 5 minutes in the time of such a character that I'd want to run away and jump in a fucking kick, right? And so I paid an extra 400 quid to get a flight back to London, but I bought a lighter which was in the shape of a gun. In a shop. It was this weird shop. It had canes with swords in them and stuff. And I bought this lighter, and then I thought I'd put it in my check-in stuff, but no, I put it in my hand luggage. And then we were going searching the bags and stuff like that. And I started chatting up this. I was a single man at the time, so I could chat up anyone I want. Now, nobody, right? But I remember like she didn't search my bag. We had a good chat, and then later on, I found this gun lighter in my bag. I was like, oh no, like that. And then we came up and said, all your bags are going to get searched now. And I was like, oh shit, here we go, like that. And then the girl who had been chatting up on the desk earlier said, oh, don't worry, love, I've already seen your bag. So I had a gun lighter in my bag, flying from Cape Town, South Africa to London Heathrow.
Oh my word!
Didn't get caught. Didn't shoot anyone because it was a lighter.
Well, lucky you were chatting that woman up there.
I think that this I've been blessed with average looking looks, but the mind of a sewer and the mouth of a poet. So I think I'm okay there.
So you're going to get into poetry? Is that why you were researching the jams?
No, not at all. I was just doing. I wrote something for I've been writing some sort of sketches possibly for a sitcom like that the past few days. So to see if they get accepted and stuff. Hopefully they'll suit the brief. But it's just trying to keep sharp really without gigs. There's no gigs, is there?
Yeah. I was going to say, so what's lockdown been like for you? What's COVID been like for you? What's this year been like for you?
But honestly, I cannot moan. 2 bad things have happened. I lost a very, very, very impressive and inspirational family member back about 6 months ago. He was a lovely, lovely guy. And I don't think we had the chance to give him the proper send-off because of, with the restrictions and what the time was. And my dad had a mini stroke. So those were the 2 bad things. But I will tell you the story about the mini stroke, which I find in my sort of dark humor quite funny. So I'm on the phone with my dad, and he starts slurring his words. And me and my dad are exactly the same. The only difference is he's shorter and he can grow a tash. He's a pisshead. I'm a pisshead, right? So he starts slurring on the phone, and I said, "Oi, have you been on the piss?" And he went, "No, I haven't been on the piss," like that. And he starts slurring again. I said, "Oi, are you having a fucking stroke?" Like that. And he was like, "I don't know." He was. So it was lucky that he was on the phone with me, and it's me winding my dad up, and it's genuinely happening to him. So we sort of nipped it in the bud there, got him down to the hospital that night, and then Yeah, like he's good as gold now. He's eating kippers and nuts and no milk chocolate. He hasn't smoked in weeks, and yeah, he's still kicking, still making my mum's life an absolute living.
Oh, I'm glad
Yeah.
he's around, and yeah, it's just been a
Oh
tough time,
yeah.
isn't it, for everyone?
He's
But
he's too much of a pain in the ass to go anywhere. Like he's exactly like me. Like it's mad. I mean, he's been smoking since he's 78 now, so he's technically been smoking for about 67 years.
oh my God,
So
yeah.
that's a lot of time to smoke, and he hasn't smoked a fag in 3 weeks, and
Wow.
that's amazing.
Oh, big
You know?
round of applause to Daddy Evans.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. He might be a prick, but he's my prick, so it's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, but as far as the COVID
Yeah.
stuff goes, I mean,
Mhm.
I think that people are in much worse situations than me. I don't have any grounds to moan. I've got a house here. Like I'm cooking every day, and batch cooking stuff like that. Social distancing, picking up any money I can. I paint houses. I work in a cafe, and I used to be a comedian. So people are in much worse
Oh,
situations than me. So to those people, I say, fucking good on, pal. I'll have a little
yeah.
sip to that.
Yeah. Oh, some of my tea. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not too precious in the sort of way, I wasn't a full-time comedian before. I think that I did a professional job at a semi-pro sort of, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
I always had something to fall back on. So I always work in a cafe. Mate of mine always had painting jobs and stuff. So I can't moan too much that there aren't gigs about. So, because there are people
Yeah.
in much worse situations than me.
Well, the gigs I did for you were just always they were so much fun. Especially that one, it's in Llandaff. I walked
Oh,
past
yeah.
I walked past the cafe the other day because we're finally allowed out on Monday, and I'm like, right. So I went up to Cardiff, and I can't remember the name of the place, but it's still closed. And I was telling my friend
Yeah.
about that gig we did there,
Was it
and
Fandangos?
Fandangos. That's
It was
it.
a fantastic little cafe, that was.
Hang on.
So
I,
good.
In
I
London.
work day by day in Llandaff,
Cardiff,
yeah.
in Llandaff, in
Is that?
Cardiff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know that. I know that. That's where my school is.
yeah.
So
Oh, so you know the Bay Leaf Curry House. It's the only one.
right, is it far from K2?
From where? What?
K2.
It's all like
The
you've got
Matterhorn,
one. You got one main street
the
in
Black Lion, and the
Llandaff.
Butcher's Arm.
Yeah.
Well, it's in between them two.
Okay. Right, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
were further up the high street. No, I was like, I've never heard of Fandangos being there. That sounds like such an amazing, exciting existence. I was like, that is not the land if I remember. Fandangos.
But the funny thing was about that, the man, it was a very interesting place to work because the man who opened that was a builder by trade, and he brought his mate on who was a builder by trade as well to work front of house in a coffee shop, deli, and sort of weird fruit and veg thing. The woman who cooked in the kitchen was an ex-drama teacher who had a fantastic flair for flavour of food. Now, if you try and get food out quick, it didn't work. But as long as you were willing to wait for that food, less food you could eat. But the funny thing also is I was the most qualified person in that cafe. I worked with an ex-drama teacher and 2 ex-builders. And yeah, it was such fun, such fun. Gigging
Yeah.
next to a giant lake.
Yeah. It was so good. The one that I did, there was a woman there who was just talking all the way through. She was mental, wasn't
Oh
she?
yeah. She was nuttier than squirrel shit. That woman. She used to be a what was it, floor manager for BBC. So there's no fucking telling them to shut up, is there?
No, absolutely not.
Even
No.
30 years after the job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good fun.
Yeah, it was really good fun. And the one, do you think it would come back when the pubs and stuff are allowed to open? The one in, what was that one on the thingy? My brain's gone. The last one I did for you just before lockdown. I think it was this
Tiny
time.
Rebel in the the Urban Tap House, Tiny Rebel.
Yeah. No, it was
Yeah,
February we did it, 'cause I did it with Nathan
that's
Webb,
it.
and he was dressed
That's
up in a
it.
hazmat suit. Yeah,
He was, yeah. And he did one joke in a hazmat suit, and the rest of it
yeah.
was a normal routine that had no sort of importance on what he was wearing at all. It was the most glorious thing I've seen.
And he was so excited about it. He was like, oh, look, sir, I got my suit, see? I got my joke. I'm like, okay, enjoy. He's,
He
oh,
was
I don't know if
boiling
I
by the
should
time
do
he
it.
came off.
It was good, though. It looked really good. He's like, I don't know if I should do it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like, oh, go for it, Nathan. It'll be fine.
he
It
should
was good.
Last
definitely
gig
do it.
I did was March 23rd. The MC came on in a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if there was an international, like a doo-doo. This is the 1 week we can get away with wearing a hazmat suit, but don't refer to it.
Yeah.
Be funny,
bit,
but don't swear the audience.
Is there a gender neutral version of a hazmat suit? Could it be like,
Yeah, it's
does
called
it
a
have to be
hazmat
Mac?
suit.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fucking road we don't want to go down, is it? But yeah, so
It's not called a
Go for it.
hazmat suit, is it? So
no, that's
I
right.
think
Yeah, I thought it was because you had a tiny carpet inside all the suits, like it has a mat in there.
hazmat.
Hazmat suit.
That's how you
Yeah.
dig out of a hole, kids.
Hey!
That's nice.
I
Yeah, this is good,
genuinely
isn't it?
remember that last. I remember that last gig where it was sort of like people were talking about this thing coming in, this dangerous pandemic, but it was still like the stuff of myths and legends. It was sort of like you open the newspaper and it was sort of like, Star Wars is true. Look in the wardrobe, there is a Narnia. All this kind of stuff where we were like, yeah, and everyone's going, oh, stay inside, and we're like, I don't think so. I got a gig. And you'd sort of come on and, somebody would cough and then we'd go, oh, look, hey. Like, we didn't,
But
we
there
had
are
no
definite
idea.
positives out of it, though. Have you heard of corona minesweeping?
No.
So this is something I've invented. So if you're going to go to the pub with 3 other friends, right, and you're a little bit like short on cash, you wait for them to get the first round in, and every single time they look away, you take a sip of their pint, and that means they can't drink their pint anymore. So before you know it, you had 1 pint. Now you've got 4.
That
So
is
it's like,
genius.
you sort of you germ it up. So before you know it, you're hammered and everybody has to skin.
Oh, I don't know if you watched Strictly Come Dancing, but have you heard that Katya's out of the competition? Katya and Nicola are out because Katya's got COVID.
Okay.
She's asymptomatic.
Oh, really?
Right, just to translate to our international podcast listeners, because we are quite a big thing globally. We have a show
We have
called
one
Strictly Come
listener in
Dancing.
Nigeria.
Similar. We have people in Houston and
And three in Houston, one in Nigeria. To be fair, that's global.
and basically it's Dancing with the Stars, Strictly Come Dancing. And one of the professional dancers has come down with COVID. Now, in previous years, when one of the pro dancers broke their ankle, another pro dancer stepped in. So it looks as though they didn't have any backups, like also isolating for this case. So it was a case of if you get COVID, you're out.
You're out.
And there's no nothing.
It's over by next week. If one of them's got COVID, the rest of them will go down. But like, well, I was Strictly Come Dancing for this year. You've had 5 episodes. Enjoy. Because they must have to go
I'm not a massive. I wasn't a massive fan of the girl that's got COVID. So I was pleased. But I really love Nicola Adams. And I was like, No.
I like Katya. I think she's got good choreography. Do you watch it, Steph, actually? Because if you don't, we'll talk about something else.
Personally, I would rather boil a kettle full of sugar and broken glass and pour it into my eyes than watch that kind of program. I think what I'd like to see. Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see all the reality stars having COVID tests, and whoever becomes positive wins, or something like that. You know, like I want to see all these these fame-hungry, soulless, plastic-strewn weirdos being put through the mill and having like a really long cotton bud jabbed in their nose. That's what I want. I'd watch that. I don't want to watch Bill Bailey being.
I'm a celebrity.
That's this year's I'm a Celebrity. It's basically an hour a night of that, I reckon.
Yeah.
But
you
in
want
Wales,
the food, you're gonna have to put the swab up.
Yeah, exactly. Can we just put a cattle prod or one of those Guy Fawkes sparklers up there? That'd be ideal. You want to be famous? You want to be famous? Go on. Those people.
I gotta say, yeah, and I gotta say, it's so not appealing. It makes you wonder, like anyone can like get well known now. Like look at us. We're on here, just for have a laugh, really, instead of a chat and stuff. It's not about like getting famous or anything, but I just wonder where we're all, like Andy Warhol was saying, we all get our 15 minutes of fame. Just wonder, well, where are we? If this is what the last 50 years has taken us from the invention of the television, where are we going to be in the next 50 years? Feel free to call me all right, Grandma, but
No, you're right. The sheer fact that Gemma Collins has got a series about her life is telling us that something somewhere is going very wrong.
Yes. Yeah. There's no rhyme nor reason to it, is there? When you see some of the stuff on TV, you're like, well, why am I trying to think of ideas and stuff when literally some knobhead can just go, oh, and I said that, and at this pretty much the same time, Nathan Webb goes, "Go on, guys!" Hi, Nathan.
Yeah. Well, you're right then. Yeah. But what's the talent? What's the like Made in Chelsea is just posh twats cheating on each other to get an episode. That's what it is. Oh, but I really love her. I really love her. Yeah, but you shagged their best mate. Oh, but I really love her.
Yeah.
I've never seen Made in Chelsea, but if they are that well-to-do, their parents would not allow them to do that show.
Yeah.
If they were proper old money, there is no way their parents would allow them to do that show. They must be all just a bunch of new money hoorahs.
Not
genuinely.
Yeah.
I would tune in if they were cattle prodding them in a shower. I would donate to the program. Patreon all you want. I will spunk all my money into like just electrocute him. Oh, see that one over there? He's having a bath. Chuck a toaster in. Got the extension. I'm not a hateful person. I just think that some people work very hard upon their talents. And talent is what, variety and entertainment has been for the past 50 to 60 years. And now these little, self-indulged rich kids come in and go, oh, but I really love her. Fuck off. All right? Sorry, being honest.
Do a tap dance while you're doing it and maybe I'll watch.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, it's just, a bit like, you look back at like Steve Martin. He wasn't only a comedian; he could play the banjo, right? That's two things more that I could do.
You could do close-up magic.
That's it. Like insanely talented, hard-working people. Like these people that you meet in college that said, "Oh, on the weekend I taught myself how to juggle." Half of me says you're a knob, but I really admire the dedication and the follow-through that you have, and they're really good people. Whereas if somebody comes on, just makes a bit of drama, and it's £200,000 a year, genuinely, you can go in the bin. That's it.
Yes.
All right.
Get in the bin.
Get in the bin. There's no need for it. Hard-working stand-up comedians out there talking to absolute knob-ends every weekend, wicking their asses off, and for what? A little bit of money, and not having stand-up recognised as an art. Whereas people smearing shit on canvas, and that's art.
But if a
Go on,
comedian,
Steph.
yeah, go on. Let me just ring Boris now.
Yeah. Oh, if I had 5 minutes with him, he wouldn't have any fingernails left.
Yeah. So you've heard so far.
I was going to say, I find it quite difficult to actually accept the fact that stand-up is an artist. I have to accept, I have to come out to myself. I think it's a craft. I think it's a vocation. I think it's hard work. You know, I'm obsessed with the academics of it and the histories of it. But I'm slowly but surely accepting the fact that it is an art. And I'm sort of like, I tell other people that mainly to convince myself.
It's like a one-person short play for 10 minutes. And also, if you think about it, they're trying to put darts in the Olympics. So if darts goes in the Olympics, stand-up can be fucking art.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose darlings, it goes back to the question: what is art? So what is art? What is art anyway?
Something. I think art is something which is individually created and you can make some money off.
That's art.
Richmond, give me the speech. Give me the speech.
Which one? No, but
why is comedy art?
Why is comedy art, darling? Well, I'm no expert, but surely art is something that makes you feel something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So comedy is designed. We're like prostitutes, but for the funny bone. We're prostitutes in terms of, we're comedians are manually manipulating, generating laughter that wasn't there before, that doesn't come naturally. We are prostitutes for funny. That's what comedians do, isn't it? Really? It's a bit weird.
And usually it lasts about 10 minutes.
So people will go into a room and go, right, make me laugh, make me feel something that I can't get anywhere else. So rather than normally, so in short, they should legalize sex, basically. If they're going to have comedy clubs, they should legalize sex.
Do you know what they should do also? Do you know?
Yes.
You know what they should have done? I mean, it's hindsight now. Do you know what they should have done back in March? Right? They should have made cannabis mandatory. That lockdown would have been like 5 fucking seconds if we were all stoned, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Although,
cannabis, everyone gets affects people in different ways.
Mandatory. You got to do it. It's like wearing a mask. You've got to get slightly wrecked and eat 27 packets of crisps after 11:15 at night.
Can I choose to get wrecked by booze rather than weed?
If you want a hangover, yes.
That's all right. Then.
2020, no rules. Not only can you get drunk and have a hangover, put your Christmas tree up whilst you're doing it.
Yeah. Me and my friend were talking about this the other day. Imagine that the surprise vaccine to COVID-19 was spice.
Oh,
imagine that. All of us, everyone just bent over in the pause position, twitching like a bunch of weirdos.
Such a bad drug that. It's a pain in the ass as well. Me and some friends, we stopped from going to a comedy night. We were going to watch something, and this guy, bless him, he was fallen over in the street, couldn't move. And I'm really green about drugs anyway, so I was like, "Oh my god, has he had a stroke? Has he had a heart attack?" We called an ambulance, and he came round, and he was like, "Oh, I'm all right. And we're like, "No, you're not. We've called an ambulance." Like, "Oh, tell him I'm all right, my love." Then he tried going off, pedaling off on his bike, fell over twice again. We're like, "No, stay till the ambulance gets here." We were waiting so long for them. We went 10 minutes and the ambulance didn't come. So he's like, "Oh no, love, I'm all right now. I'm going." And we were like, "Oh yeah, go on then." We're going to come back and cancel it. Bizarre. And now afterwards, I went, he was probably on spice. That was
definitely. I mean, well, it's got to be. How else are you going to keep warm in Swansea? Jesus Christ!
It was in Cardiff, but it was very cold. This was about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I was going to keep warm. What are you going to do in Cardiff? You're going to troll the posh areas and try and sleep in a hunter welly that somebody's left outside.
Yeah. That's one
I
good
live in
thing.
quite a posh area. It's quite funny. Sorry. And most of the year round, my neighbour leaves Berghaus walking shoes outside the house. That's how much of a nice area I live in.
Oh my God! No one steals them. Is that because they're Berghaus walking shoes? Don't know.
They look very expensive. I've been tempted to piss in one once.
Berghaus are the best,
No.
but you said Berghaus. I thought Crocs for some reason.
You said Berghaus. I thought burgers.
Burger shoes outside my house. Why isn't anyone stealing them?
If you're really posh, then you have wooden poles to put your wellies and boots on upside down.
Yes. I've seen them.
I've seen them.
It's an absolute pointless expense.
Because then you can have them upside down. When it rains, the water doesn't go in the shoe or the welly.
Yeah, for little Monty and Binky to go down the park and look at a squirrel.
Joe, I used to be a nanny. I called it au pair because I did bugger all in London when I was 19 to two kids called Lexi and Bella, darling, and they'd be about, how old am I now? 47. They'd be about 40 odd now. Those kids, pain in the arse, the pair of them. Well, actually, Lexi was all right. Bella was a pain in the ass.
I bet you they're right pricks now, aren't they?
They were right pricks then, to be fair. They were posh pricks, proper posh pricks. Their father was a partner in a bank. Partner in a bank. Can you imagine how much money? And they lived in Ladbroke Grove, and they had about 7 floors. And the nursery was on the 7th floor, and I was in the basement. And I had to. The alarm went off at 5 to 7. At 7 a.m., I had to run up all the stairs. Anyway.
So that game was basically just a Mario Brothers game for you. So you had to go boo, 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 up to the top to get
and
to
then another 5 stairs down for breakfast. Yep. And she didn't. The woman who was their mother. The mother didn't like that. I taught the little boy one. Okie dokie, and say, "Oh, do you want cereal for breakfast?" Okie dokie, and he'd go, "Okie dokie, okie dokie," and she's like, "Don't say okie dokie." I'm like, all right then. And I basically was asked to leave and not come back because it was my first ever proper job away from home. And as you do, you just you talk to friends who you think are friends, have a bit of a moan. But the only people I knew were the other nannies and au pairs, and they basically told my boss that I was moaning about her. So she's like, I think we're okay without your help, thanks. I was like, okay.
You're from Swansea. You should have taught them that snitches get stitches. I mean, if there was ever an opportunity, you should have just gone stabby stab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I'd been from Newport, maybe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I think Ignacio Lopez says Newport is a bit of a stabby town. What I'd like to do. So we've got Steph's friends on the line. We've had Chris Davis say, Jeff.
Hey, it is Jeff.
What's that about?
I don't know. Maybe he's been on the whiskies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe leather chair with one dog in one hand and a bottle of whiskey in the other.
This one, right? Noswaith dda, my club Nos Owen and Gwerthu pandas. Like, who's selling pandas? Owen's club is selling pandas. Do you know the Welsh language itself is always a weird thing. Like, when I tell people, obviously when you listen to my voice, so it must be some sort of Welsh, and people say to me like, I was like 11:30 at night in a pub. I so you Welsh, and I go, yo, bore da. And he's like, it's fucking 11:30 at night, you pisshead. What are you telling me good morning for? Makes no sense.
Even people with just a cursory knowledge of Welsh knows it's North Star. It's
a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Especially people who aren't I had it rammed down, but first language, so I did. We used it every day. Whereas when I see people, learning it off their own accord with no reason, I think that it's a very nice thing. It's not exactly the easiest language to learn, especially if you've got English in your mind already, because it is backwards and forwards and that kind of stuff. But I will always say that Welsh is right and English is wrong. But at the same time, fair play to anybody that tries to give it a go, because it's not easy. I don't even know half the words, and I'm fluent.
I live in Devon, and I fall foul to a lot of Cornish people telling me how the Welsh and the Cornish are basically the same, and I have to tell them to fuck off. Because I live in Devon now, which means genetically I have to hate the Cornish. It's part of the licensing agreement. Otherwise,
you're acclimatizing. I get it.
Acclimatizing, and also when you meet the Cornish, they help you hate them.
Really?
I'm saying
really. And if any Cornish people are watching, trust me, they will email in.
I'm going to sit on this lovely, comfortable pen.
You know the term Karen? If the term Karen was a country, it'd have a black and white fucking flag. It'd be Cornwall.
Can I just say, as one half of the kitchen sink, I do not condone what is now.
These views are not the views of I'd just like to say,
I know some lovely Cornish people.
Yeah, me too.
Really, it must have they must be travelling then. Spider Jones, who is one of our future guests on the kitchen sink, has tuned in to have a look at what the show is about. And of course, we were talking Welsh. He thought he'd clicked something and everything was gone wrong. Spider is from Cleveland in the United States of America.
Home of the cleaver. I like it. Home of the cleaver.
Hey, there's no land like a cleave.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Well, to be totally honest to him, like that's his country and my country that hasn't made much sense in the last 2 weeks. That's one thing there, isn't it? That's been a messy old thing, isn't it? What old insane fucker do you want to run your country next?
I think Biden. Is it Biden or Biden?
Biden.
Oh, it's Biden.
I think Biden time.
I want whichever one is less racist, and it doesn't matter for me anyway, because we're not American. But I can understand how it matters in terms of trade. But Trump
I've got a
is
couple of
American friends. About trade.
I have a couple of American friends, and I've asked them, so is Biden the great white hope compared to Trump being not a very nice person? And it turns out Biden's not perfect, but as they all say collectively, he's the lesser of two evils. What a campaign slogan.
Yeah, at least I'm not Trump. I'm not him.
This is the best sort of analogy you can put to the winner of election, right? Whether it's Trump or Biden, it's genuinely like having a shit and wiping your ass with a shit.
Oh, God.
Because you're going to be in the same problems all over again. Years of stuff out there. Honestly, just have a baptism in it.
Biden does have a murky and checkered past, but not as murky or as checkered as Trump's. Yeah. So, I haven't watched many episodes of South Park, but is it the turd or the douchebag episode where you have to vote for one side? Both sides don't seem the best team, but if you don't vote, you actually get ousted from your own village. They could play that South Park episode in schools as an analogy for voting. You may not like either side, but you still have to democratically vote. It is not optional.
Well, I didn't vote for years. I think I voted for the first time probably 3 or 4 years ago. Didn't vote for years. I didn't believe in the system itself. I still think that it's either you blame it on one guy, you blame it on the other, and we're fucked either way. That's my opinion of it. I don't deal in facts. I deal in opinions. I don't read enough, right? But I think that that the system is rigged against us anyway. But what we should be doing is every single person that we talk online or in person or in the street or as a stranger or anything like that, is we should just be normal to each other and not think that we're smarter than the next person. Because exactly what's been put into our head over the last 5 to 6 years.
That'd be amazing. That would be really amazing. more communication, more understanding, more empathy.
Yeah. Right.
And I would say
You know, like,
it's not the general public that needs to change. It is like people like Boris Johnson and all those ones that went to these posh schools. They're set up to. They're taught to think that you didn't get far enough in your posh school.
Okay.
You know, they're taught to think that they are better than us. That's what needs to change.
Oh no, don't worry. My school did not teach me that.
No. But Howells is lovely, but it's not eaten.
No,
like how
and
many
they also
leaders come
like
to meet him? You know, it's ridiculous how they are, and they're bred. It's almost like they're bred to believe that they're our leaders and that we need them and all this bullshit. That's what needs to change. Nothing's good. We're going to get taken down for socialism or something, but that is what needs to change. In my humble, almost unread opinion,
everyone needs to be looked after, not just the few. You know, and
yes.
like it's been set up against us for such a long time, where we're supposed to be happy with the scraps we get, and yes, to some extent, I think we are, because we do think that we are 100% free, and I do think we are free. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I find them very entertaining late at night, but at the same time, then I think that we've got enough in us and enough about us to take us all forward without the need for that sort of hierarchy, and to have somebody who can't relate to my life, your life in any sort of way, because he hasn't lived that sort of life, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I have to say though, through all the different jobs I've done truck driving, teaching, festival work. I've worked in quite sort of posh Tory environments. I've lived in very socialist towns. I've lived in hippie communes where you have a nag shamper sort of chakra alignment bloody meeting every night. And one thing I've noticed is when it comes to politics, people feel they are entitled to be nasty about the opposition in a way that really undermines human nature. And I sometimes feel the more left or open-minded you are, the more vociferous you can be in a bilious attack. It really is a case of, if you don't fucking agree with me, you're a massive cock. And I'm using words that could be replaced with much harsher ones. And I have a very mixed bag of people on my Facebook stream. And I've noticed the ones that are like, defriend me, you're a pedo C word, you know, if you voted Tory and all this stuff. And honestly, I see every colour of the spectrum politically, because I have had so many different jobs and lived in so many different areas. And I just think maybe if the other person doesn't agree with you, you could have a chat with them and not just maybe throw an insult and call them a C word.
I think you shouldn't be turned against each other. We all shit brown and we bleed red and we piss yellow after a few pints. So we should all be in the same boat. None of us are better than each other. And the people who are putting us against each other, we should turn against them. You know, definitely. Why not? I'm not saying you should burn fucking Parliament down, because it's never going to work. But at the same time, then imagine, right? Imagine if the next election was the way you used to vote is the same way people on X Factor vote. So you don't have to go to the polling station. You don't have to register yourself. It's just a telethon.
Yeah.
And then you put Jeremy Corbyn in a nice pair of Adidas trainers and a gold hat from Honey G as someone on his head. And you got Boris Johnson then, it looks like he's been pulled out of a cow's ass sideways, an albino little fat moomin weirdo that he is. And then what you do is you put him next to each other and you get your Sandras, your Karens, all the sort of, you know, like the people that, you know, the plumbers, you know, the roofers and that kind of stuff, the ones that are, you know, that have a voice and, you know, have lived through all this shit like that. Get them to vote over their phone and see what it's going to be like then.
Yeah, yeah, massively. But then Gemma Collins could win. In that kind of a scenario, Gemma Collins being the next PM, and I don't know if it would be a bad thing, to be honest.
I would be.
I don't know the reason why that could not be the best representation.
Right, one at a time. You both talked over each other. Steph, what did you say? Sorry.
All I was saying is, if Gemma Collins was Prime Minister, then I would be her Lee Harvey Oswald to her JFK. I would shoot her with an air gun. But she's never going to get to know who I am, because nobody's going to get to know who I am.
All right. Sorry, Lucy. What did you say?
I was just saying that if Gemma Collins did make it to the House, right, she'd have a little bit more sensibility, yeah? She'd think of what she was saying. She would plan her, what's it called, manifesto, and she would possibly do what she can to do what you need her to do, yeah? I fucking love her voice. She drives me up the fucking wall. I love her voice.
As she's saying that, I myself am paddling to France in a boat like this, going, fuck this. Jesus Christ. It's going to be like mandatory sort of like fake tans. You'd have to walk through a tan in bed to get into a library or something.
I wouldn't be mad about it, to be fair.
I've never had a sunbed. Never had a sunbed.
Well, I mean, look at the three of us Welsh people. We couldn't be whiter than white. Could you imagine the three of us putting on foundation that had tan in it, like Saint-Tropez colour tan? We'd look at like Wales create ghost people.
Yeah. Well, like tonight,
if I had a tan, I would look like a young Homer Simpson if I had like any more of a tan than I've got now. I've got the hair and everything.
Before we finish up, I just want to rewind us to remember earlier when I said, what is art? Nathan Webb has done a little jokey. He said, that was Hadaway's lesser known second hit, What is Art? Baby Don't Take Me.
You got to love the Nathan Webb. Genuinely.
I miss Nathan Webb. I miss you all, actually. And you guys have got a, Chris, Nathan, yourself, you've got a sketch show at the minute as well.
Yeah, it's called Sketchy. Sketchy, it's called.
Sketchy, that's it. So
I don't think it's going to be weekly. It's going to be like it's going to be like now and again, I think. The first one, it was just see what you get up to and stuff. It was fun.
Yeah.
I got to dress myself up as a clown face in my kitchen on like a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But it's nice to be amongst, nice to be amongst peers again, as this is, It's like, because I've missed all the fun side of stuff. It's just been peeling carrots.
Like I was chatting
5 stars, Danny French.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Because I was speaking to Ig. Ig had his show. He recorded his show in Manchester. I think it was last week or the week before. And I'm pretty sure it was last week. And I was saying, oh my God, I'm quite, on Messenger, I was saying, oh, I'm quite jealous. It must be so much fun and stuff. And he said, well, the gigs he has done, no one's talking to each other backstage. So that must just be, and you're going to have half the audience. And it just must be really weird. Because that's a lot of the fun, isn't it? It's where you're meeting people and having a good chat. And it's so much. There's nothing quite like going to a gig and you're like, brilliant. People that you like are there and the fun are there. And even if there are people there that you're like, oh no, not that one. It's going to be news. It's going to be gossip or a good bit of a chat. So it's the social side for MS as well, massively. But hopefully we'll all be back to normal.
It's like a job you like doing.
Yeah. That's the sad thing. Isn't it funny? All the things that you like doing are hard to come by to get paid for, like comedy, like acting. It's like how many people want to do those things, isn't it?
Sorry.
Right, Steph, you've been so generous with your time. We've done just about an hour, just over.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Before you go, is there anything you'd like to plug?
I'm just putting it up on the screen as well. I'm putting your comedy page from Facebook and your Twitter handle as well. So that if people find Sketchy or any of your Tales from the Wales information, they can find it that way. Sorry to interrupt, Councillor.
That's okay.
I know what it is. Okay.
We also tend
to comedy, Twitter.
We also tend to ask as well. I mean, I know you, and I probably know most of the people you know too. But is there anyone that you would recommend to come on the show? Drew has already been on the show, so is Ig.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you'd recommend
Yeah.
to either come
3
on the
words.
show?
Sheep
Yeah.
and mash.
Oh, yes.
Oh!
Good shout. Yeah.
Miss
Sheep and
them.
mash.
I miss those guys.
Yes. Do you know what, right? We
They've-
did a gig up in the valley somewhere. They booked me to host. And it wasn't an easy gig. It was quite a tough gig because whenever, like, I think me and Ethelt were on, and I think they were very protective, and I think they were very much like, oh, we can have a chat with her. And we were like, no, I'm trying to tell you some jokes. But when Sheep and Mash came on, they were headlining, and my dad had come along, old Daddy Bridgman had come along, and after the gig, he was like, oh, I don't know, mine, sir. You need to work on some material when you're hosting, rather than chat to them. Maybe come up with do some material. But he was like, oh, Sheep and Mash, they were good, mind. Oh, they should be on telly. I'm like, right, Dad. But you know how hard my dad is to please. Daddy Bridgman was like,
Yeah.
praising Sheep and Mash like no one's business, as is fair. So thank you for that suggestion. That's brilliant. Thank you very
Oh,
much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been so much fun. And
thank you so much for having me.
Oh, pleasure. Anytime. We'll probably be asking you again in a few months.
I will gladly do it.
Officially, for the record, have made a list of people to invite on the kitchen sink, and we have discussed you for months. But the thing is, there's only so many weeks in the year, and we have a long list of people we want to get on. So when we got in touch with you, it wasn't because you commented on the show, it's because we wanted to have you on. So please take that as praise and a compliment.
Thank you very much. I know, like, you know, I've got a cock and I'm white, so I'm in the fucking way, but I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you very much, Steph. Take care.
Thank you.
I'm
going to leave studio now. See what the delay in this is. Come on.
Oh, I love Steph. Isn't he great?
Now, you said he was lovely. Everyone that speaks about him says he's lovely. But did you know he's fucking lovely?
And hilarious. Fucking hilarious. You should see him gig, honestly. He's literally tells stories from his childhood about Wales, about where he's from. Very funny. So much fun. He's great. So check him out when we're back to whatever normal is. Check Steph out. He's great. And check out a video.
Whatever the fuck normal is.
Yeah. Check out Tales and Wales and all the rest of it. He is awesome.
Well, I don't think it'll be long till Tales from Wales invites us on.
Stop being passive aggressive, Lucy. If they want, they can ask. And if they don't want, that's also absolutely fine. So, what's next?
The review section, and I don't mean to have this voice. So excited. Okay, so
reviewing Comedy Game Night.
Yes. Now,
which was
I hadn't seen it, but I was on the phone to a friend, and I was saying about we review a comedy show each week, and he said, "Oh, tell you what I've been watching. I've been watching Comedy Game Night," and he said something about he described it, and it sounded familiar, but I wasn't quite sure if I'd seen it. So as we both hadn't seen it, I put it forward, and as it was my put forward, I play a video clip. And then it's your turn to discuss it, if that's okay. So
absolutely fine.
Press the buttons, do. And by the way, I was in a bit of a rush when I took the clip, so it may be mid-sentence when I queued it up. But you know, is about half a minute.
It's possible. A point for every correct answer, so it's a nice accumulator. Good start to the show.
Yeah.
Up to here, Sue.
Oh, only go up to here. You know that.
If you're not sure, you can pass. And all your words will begin with the letter L. Alpha Lisa. Your 90 seconds starts now.
Lifting. Leaping. I don't know. Pass.
Passing on ladder.
Lassoing.
Yes.
Laughing. Yes. Lego car. Lorry driving. Lawn mowing.
Yes, well played.
Leaping.
Yes. Oh, you're in the...
Oh,
Little snippet. Little snippet.
yeah. Just a little snippet, just to let everyone know what
Little
that's about. Comedy game night. So, so it's my turn to review because it was your suggestion, isn't it? Okay. I have made notes. I love Lisa Tarbuck. I think she's great. I don't know if she still has, but she used to have a radio show on BBC Radio 2, and I loved listening to it. She doesn't anymore. Oh, she was great. On a Saturday it was, Saturday tea time.
It's the guy from Big Brother with the fake teeth.
Right. Ryland. Is it Ryland?
That's him.
Anyway.
That's him.
So I love her. Matt Richardson used to, when he first started out, he used to gig in Cardiff quite a bit. So yeah, he was always very funny, and we used to moan because he'd do like half an hour. He's meant to only do 10 minutes. We were like, Matt, but he was brilliant, very fun. Unfortunately, well, that's all the positive stuff I have for it. It's not my cup of tea. I'm sorry. It's great. It's parlor games. I think I draw the line under, is it comedy? I don't see this as comedy.
Even I'm with you on, does this count as comedy, or is this entertainment?
Entertainment. My parents would love it. It reminds me, it's got the same kind of vibe of Give Us a Clue, or I mean, I wouldn't say, or even Would You Lie to Me, because Would You Lie to Me I think is hilarious, and I am drawn to it. I think because it's got more skill to it. I don't know what it is, but I just didn't. It wasn't. And I got to admit, I lasted literally the end of that clip we just saw. I lasted the intro and the end of that game, and it does that really annoying thing that a lot of productions do, which they introduce people in the intro. Tonight we have Lisa Tarbuck, Matt Richardson, and then they introduce themselves again, and I'm like, I know who they are. Get on with it.
What we just saw, what we're going to see, what we've just seen, what's coming up soon. Just show us the fucking program. I completely agree with you. It's a 45-minute episode, which by far, if it was 30 minutes, it would be a 5-star review.
I give it 2, but and they'd be lucky to have them. But when you compare that with like Taskmaster, which maybe is not a fair comparison, Taskmaster is just, it's much more interesting. It's an original idea. These are just parlor games that they're doing to an audience. And to be honest, to me, they might as well put it on at the same time as Tipping Point. That to me is where it is in my brain. I just found it a bit lame, and a bit like that's where careers go to die. That is my final word on it. It might be a bit harsh, but I don't care. Didn't like it. Big thumbs down for me. Not keen.
Have you had your time? Beep.
Sorry, everyone. But at least I had a career in comedy.
But luckily, as we've said, comedy and entertainment is an art, and it is in the eye of the beholder. So my enjoyment of it is not tarnished by your lack of enjoyment. I thoroughly enjoy it. The reason why I thought I knew it was because Comedy Game Night, which is out this year, 2020, is a twist on the Channel 5 Celebrity Game Night, which came out in 2019, which I did watch. And the team captains were Susan Calman and Danny Baker.
Right.
And the reason why I liked that is because although I don't always like Danny Baker, I was a child of win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
Which was basically Pictionary and charades. And that was 1990 to 1998. So that was a long time for a parlor game show.
Yeah, but that was on like 5 p.m., wasn't it?
Yeah, and everybody watched it. It was. I don't even really understand why it stopped, considering all the other dross that fucking continued. So the backstory for this show is in 2013, Hollywood Game Night came out in America, which is this franchise. But it's run by Jane Lynch. Do you know the really sexy blonde PE teacher, the lesbian one from
Lynch, yeah.
Glee. Right, so that came out in 2013. Then Taskmaster came out in 2015.
Right.
Then in 2017, you got Richard Osman's House of Games.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2019, you have our version of it, Celebrity Game Night. And then in 2020, they made it into Comedy Game Night. Now, the reason why this show gives me hope is this show was filmed during the pandemic.
Ah, right.
So the reason why the difference is on Celebrity Game Night and on Win, Lose or Draw, they were all on a sofa each on top of each other.
Right.
Now they were on socially distanced armchairs.
Mm-hmm.
And the games included those extra large hands or extendable thingies. You could fall into this and not remember that there was a pandemic. You'd think this was a replay from 2018 or whatever. Mm-hmm. This was filmed during the pandemic, and I think that they've managed to show that a parlor game show like this can exist in these unprecedented times. Yeah. You've seen QI have done COVID recordings, worked fine, but the comedians have complained they didn't like it.
Right.
I, as a viewer, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Right.
But they've said, I felt a bit weird there not being an audience. Then we've had Taskmaster have been recorded during it. Again, no audience. And a little bit, the final round, if you've ever watched Taskmaster, the final round is actually done in that room in front of each other. And it did seem a little bit like they could have emceed it better. There's nothing wrong with the game, you know? Richard Osman's House of Games is fucking brilliant. I absolutely adore it. But they are all just sat politely in their armchairs, answering mental questions like Answer Jam, and it's you and I are sat there like this, and we're just looking at the screen and we're answering. This is a physical slapstick show, and they've managed to do it in a time of COVID, which gives me, because I'm a very slapstick based fan.
Yeah,
I love an intellectual comedy. I love a complicated, work it out yourself punchline. But just trip over a fucking step and I'll piss myself laughing. I can't help it. I'm an imbecile like that. And so is a lot of other people. And I loved the fact that this kind of show done properly can still exist. And I even carried on watching it after the episode we watched. And they had this one bit where I'm sat in the car and pretending to drive. You get in the back seat and describe where I'm going. And they had a see-through screen. So even though you're like, oh, they sat a bit close. No. They had a screen.
Right.
For me, when I grow up, I want to be Lisa Tarbuck. And if there's a genie, can I present this show?
Right. So you enjoyed the show then? You enjoyed it? A little bit?
Yeah, I loved it.
Did you enjoy it a little bit? You loved it then?
I fucking loved it. I loved it because I'm a child of win, lose.
You don't have to explain yourself. You're just saying you're reviewing the show. You loved it because it's slapstick and that's what you like.
Right. I'm a child of whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
That's the kind of comedy that I grew up on.
It anyway is improv and it's from their own brains. I don't know. Maybe I was in the bad mood watching it, but I just think, there's just a little bit more to Whose Line Is It Anyway. It's a little bit more technique and style and a bit more substance to it than just slap some guy in the face with a foam hand and we'll guess what you're doing.
I think
I'm
that
very cold in here. I mean, I don't know why. I'm freezing. Anybody else cold? Oh, it's going to be chilly. Get my jumper on. Oh.
Even though I think I agree, this is not a comedy. You can't put this up to. But we've watched Bob
They should take
Monkhouse's
the
last fucking
comedy
show.
out of it. It's not a
Yeah.
comedy. Just call it game night.
But did it make me laugh? Yes. Did I end up watching more of them? Yes. And did I laugh at those? Yes.
But it's not
And
comedy.
the fact is, it made me laugh, and it shows that shows can exist after COVID. That's
But we knew shows could do. That shouldn't be a plus point. At least it exists. That's not good enough. We have books. We got DVDs. We have plenty of entertainment. We don't have to prove we can do it, even with COVID. Some shows shouldn't be made, despite COVID. This is one of them. No, I don't. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. As you said that, you knew. You were like, oh no, that's
too far. She's going to be in that track. She's going to be heading down that M4 any minute now, just to slap me in the face.
I'm a key worker. Fuck off.
Yeah. I have an important mission from God here. This woman needs to know about my wrath.
They'll never fucking stop me.
All right, my lovely.
Right.
Well, that's the review done.
You need to suggest one.
Okay. I have a suggestion for you. It's a new one. I know we've done new ones a fair bit. I know you can go old next week if you like. This is a new one. I've seen clips. I've not seen it, but I've seen clips and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And I'm sure they're going to be hilarious. There's just one thing I'm already disappointed about, and I wanted you to see it and see what you think. So this is Netflix series Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun.
Oh, I've heard about this, but I don't know what it is. Literally, right. That's all I know. What you just said, that sentence.
It's like a surreal sketch show type of thing, I think, based on the trailers. And the trailers are hilarious, but there's just one thing that's glaring, and I see this everywhere now, and it's doing my head in. And I thought, well, that'll be a good discussion for next week. Shall I tell you what the glaring thing is, so we can all prep? Yes, well done. Huge dinner. Okay. Yes, Lucy has done an impressive amount of research, but I did have to bring her back to actually reviewing the show, rather just saying your research. But it was very impressive. Don't hire her as a researcher. Yeah, the one thing about this show, so this is Big Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun. It's 3 blokes. They're going to be hilarious. Three white blokes. 3 mostly white blokes. They're 3 blokes. And I'm just like, oh, I want to enjoy it. You know, Pappy's hilarious. They're 3 white blokes. Yes. And I just wonder, to discuss for next week, it's like, okay, if they are brilliant and hilarious, should they be, would it be fair to say, well, actually, yeah, but we've got enough of that. We've had enough of blokes doing farting about. Surely there's got to be something a bit more.
Well, they're obviously not going to get very far, and they need all the promotion help they can get. So why not give them a review?
I want to see it, and I'm like, because I'm annoyed that it's just 3 blokes farting about. I'm just like, that'll get me to watch it, and I'm sure I'll love it. But I just wish the world was a little bit more equal. But there we go.
We'll give them season 1, episode 1. I can't promise I'll watch more. So I'll be too busy watching Lisa Tarbuck do Comedy Game Night.
I literally.
Have we seen Sarah?
Yeah. I haven't yet, and I'm a bit jealous. actually booked Sarah Pascoe for a gig in Swansea. Well, actually, Paul James did technically, but it was Sarah Pascoe and Henry Packer. We advertised the shit out of it, and 3 people turned up. They were brilliant, and they performed, and they were brilliant. It might not have been 3, it was probably about 10, but they were fantastic. So yeah, Sarah Pascoe about 8 years ago, she came to Swansea.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I know we're only 6 minutes early, but we're going to wrap it up early tonight because we've had a fucking enjoyable time. I love our first section where we chat. Steph,
brilliant,
absolutely adorable, and irrespective of whatever she says, right? I had a lovely time.
Comedy game night.
Comedy game night.
Comedy game night.
Comedy game night.
I'm going to do a Lucy Orchard face now.
Right, Paddington, guess what? You can take that stare and stick it up your marmalade sandwich.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching and thank you all for listening. Please set your alarm clocks next Thursday at 7 p.m. Neither of us know who's next.
SLC, I think. Is it Esselt or Spider? Esselt's on the 26th.
Spider.
Ooh. I've got it down as the 26th.
Who's Esselt?
Esselt Sears.
Yeah. Then it's Esselt. No. Could be Spider. Right. Join us next week for an amazing guest. Let's call it Kitchen Sink Roulette. We know we've booked them. We've got communication and they've definitely confirmed because we've messaged them. The only thing we didn't do is check the spreadsheet before we did this show. Because when we're not lying, guys, we have so many people that genuinely have agreed to do this show. We're so fucking spoiled.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
We're very lucky. I mean, we've even had to have conversations where we go, no more bookings. Let's give it a month. because we're so fucking lucky. Right. Yeah. See you all. Right. Love you all. Subscribe, follow, like, share. Bye.
Bye.
What button is this there?